Hey, what's going on, everyone? Back with some knife content. Today, I want to take a step back and I'll try to be as brief as possible, but I wanted to talk about the future, or at least like what, as I read the tea leaves of how things have been going the last 6 months or so, what the future of secondary buy, selling, and trading knives is on Facebook specifically. And that you people are, yeah, all you guys that buy on the primary market, just buy a knife and that's it. You're not gonna look to sell it ever, whatever. This video really won't apply to you, but I think a lot of my subscribers actually do collect knives like me and like to try things, if it doesn't work out, being able to sell it, etc. But I just kind of want to talk about where I see things going, kind of looking out to other EDC or hobby groups that I see, and what kind of artificial intelligence is doing to stem the flow of selling weapons on social media. So Facebook Marketplace, I do understand that you can sell knives on Facebook Marketplace, but that is kind of relegated to kitchen knives, which is funny. It's basically like saying that this rifle is less dangerous than this rifle, which is completely ridiculous. Like a knife or any cutting edge is, the same amount of danger. So I don't think that, we won't see marketplace change. Marketplace is pretty locked down as far as sales go, but what we see is, groups in Facebook that buy, sell, trade, and raffle off blades. And some of these groups are 10, 20, 30,000 members, and daily there's transactions going on the secondary market. Now, I also realize that some people do conduct buying, selling, and trading on things like Reddit or Blade forums, but I did think about this counter argument, but I was like, let's be honest, like there's nothing more convenient than being able to open up Facebook, going into a certain, knife buy, sell, trade group, and having access and a search function, with pictures, etc., of, thousands of ads for knives for sale or people that are in search of things. So I realized that, certainly Reddit and Blade forums will still be alive, but I just find those to be really cumbersome, and being a part of different knife forums. It's just a weird thing. It's not a good experience selling. You basically have to make a post. You have to upload your picture to a third party with the URL so that it posts on there. It's just very cumbersome. Like you really can't beat the ease and kind of streamlined nature of selling knives on Facebook. And just kind of over the last year, or prior to the last year, I did read online that Facebook employed around 15,000 people that would kind of scour Marketplace and just content writ large, looking for keywords, things that were prohibited to put on Facebook. And but now what we're seeing is they're actually using artificial intelligence. So back in the day, and we still see this with, I was actually fascinated, but just with like secondary alcohol sales. I belong to a few groups that very low-key kind of gray market sell alcohol, which is illegal, right? But they kind of skirted it for a while, and we do see this in the knife world as well, using a picture within a picture, or using emojis, or a very complex set of words, acronyms, or just codes writ large to kind of beat out, to not trip any sort of measure from Facebook. But like anything, and like I actually am in the process of using artificial intelligence for work, and we're definitely in a phase right now where everyone is collecting data, and we're seeing the same thing. But what used to be safe, where you could just use, avoid using a certain vernacular or whatever, AI now can actually read what's in pictures. Without getting too much into it, because I don't really understand it, it kind of focuses on whatever the hotspot is in the picture, and then it kind of compares that to other things that it's seen in prohibited images, and that's enough to nick something right there. And I do think that in the future, we're going to see that, this gray market alcohol sales, that's not going to be a thing. Certainly, weapons flag things. And, a big part of this, and what made me want to make this video, is a really large group of, people would call them, I don't know, I thought it was funny. The reaction was like, oh, great. Well, now there's, 20,000 less airsofters that have a group. But basically, a group just this last week was nixed on Facebook that, due to posting pictures of weapons. So not even buy, selling, or trading weapons, which obviously that would be highly illegal, but just having pictures of firearms. that whole group was disbanded, and it is no more. And I do think that that is due to artificial intelligence, right? Like, I mean, if you're posting pictures of things, we kind of have an idea of what a firearm looks like. If you have a large enough group where you're kind of tripping or hitting these thresholds over and over again, don't be surprised if that group is going to get canceled. The other place that we've kind of seen cracking down, or that I've observed cracking down on what is posted, is actually going to be in some watch groups. So watch secondary sales, which again, it's not harmful. It shouldn't be a prohibited item. But what we see are kind of some larger names in manufacturing, whether it's like Patek, Audemars, Rolex. They're really cracking down on knife secondary sales because they are doing pretty poorly. And so now in, a very large secondary watch group that I belong to, you actually can't even use the brand anymore. So you kind of have to be a little bit cryptic with how you list or how people are selling watches. So, there doesn't really seem to be like a rhyme or reason, but I think across the board, we kind of see this noose tightening on, doing transactions in Facebook groups. And then circling back to the topic at hand, why do I think that knife secondary sales are at risk of being completely shut down? I equate it to the gray market alcohol game, where it is illegal to sell alcohol online for a myriad of reasons, but the one we can focus on is, having to be 21. It's a federal law that you have to be 21 years old to consume or buy alcohol, and that's one of the things that, it's very black and white. That applies to the knife world because, again, I don't agree with this. I think a knife is an inanimate object. It's a tool. We kind of see that with knives too, right? Like, I mean, you have to be, in some states, you have to be a certain age to have a knife or to carry a knife with you, to buy a knife. And I think the most resounding or kind of clear example of that is California. Because, I mean, if I lived in California, I could, on these secondary knife groups, I could conceivably order an OTF or out the front, push button auto, Bali Song, etc. I could get that sent to me, which is illegal. So I think once those connections are being made, like if you needed a reason of like, why are knife sales not allowed on Facebook? I mean, first and foremost, they are considered a weapon. We see that with Facebook Marketplace, but it's the same thing as booze, right? We have an age associated with substantive law that, if if you're not 18, you're not 21, some places you can't have it. And I think it'd be very easy to just kind of nix the whole thing. I definitely hope that doesn't happen, but kind of my bluff or basic line up front is that as AI gets smarter, I mean, screw those 15,000 people that work for Facebook to look for prohibited content. Once AI learns and they have enough information nested of pictures, of comments, of emojis you're using or whatever, these groups are going to be no more. And I guess it's kind of not my responsibility, but so what do I think is going to happen? I definitely wanted to give my opinion on that. I think that the first thing to fall will be the larger groups. So the Everyday Blades of the world. I mean, some of these groups have tens of thousands of members. I think when it gets to a certain point, that group is going to be no more. But I do think that the smaller groups will survive for a while until whatever that threshold is for the amount of, once the vernacular is used, is learned, once the code is kind of broken. I don't really think that any of these knife groups or secondary market sales groups will survive at all. And I think I don't know what that will look like after. I mean, certainly there will still be Blade forums, there'll still be Reddit, but I don't think with, if it's, the end of November right now, I think next year at this time, I don't think it's going to be the same landscape. I think they're really going to crack down on it once they get enough information to kind of shut things down. I know people used to say, it's all about like the algorithm, what you see, if you meet a certain threshold or use a certain word, then it's going to be a red flag and, Facebook will cut it out. We're at like a different stage here with artificial intelligence and the employment of that by Facebook, which they do use. Once this language is learned, knife sales, I think on Facebook as we know it, will be a thing of the past. So, this is completely my opinion. Again, I could be wrong. Tell me to go pound sand, but and I don't think it really doesn't change any way that I will do anything. I'm still going to be buying, selling, and trading until I can't anymore. But I would love to know your thoughts on kind of where you see the future of it. Are you worried about your ability to, continue your collection, realizing that there's great deals to be had right now. The market is completely soft. It's a great way, using these larger Facebook groups to try out a knife. And then if that doesn't work out, trading with somebody else very conveniently. Let me know your thoughts, because I'm very interested to hear your opinions. But appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll see you next time.